We have two races this weekend on the penultimate event weekend of Porsche Carrera Cup North America for 2024. The season finale will be part of Formula One at the Circuit of the Americas next weekend. That's not a big turnaround time, and the Road Atlanta circuit is 2.5 miles of challenging tarmac with 12 corners that will test the best of your suspension engineers and chassis tuners to get the very best of your lap times through the very quick uphill turn 1 and then down through the S's to turn 5, up over the brow to turn 6, which is slightly back, turn 7 very important because that leads you on to the slightly curving back straight. There's two kinks in that, we don't really count those as corners. The heavy braking area at turn 10A, the left-hander at the bottom of the hill, through the chicane, and then you explode back into our view underneath the Fox Factory Bridge and down towards the diving final corner at turn number 12. An absolutely tremendous racetrack in beautiful surroundings, just outside Braselton, about an hour and a half or so up the road north from downtown Atlanta. Shea Adam is alongside me, John Hindorf, in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre, and we have 28 flat 6 4-litre normally aspirated beautiful sounding engines that power these cars. 500 and a bit horsepower, about 506, 507 horsepower, driving through the rear wheels. No tuning, extra tuning of the factory motors allowed. What a sight they are in the late afternoon sunshine. It's a little after 5 o'clock here, 40 minutes on the clock, and quickly we'll run through how they line up. Jake Pedersen and Javier Ripoli on the back row of the grid, and then behind them it's Jody Miller and John Getz in the Masters category. We'll talk about the categories in a moment. Jeff Mosing and Chris Belomo are the next cars back. Sharing with Chris on row 11 of the grid is Matt Holcomb for ACI Motorsports. And then the pole position in the Masters class is Scott Blind on the outside of row number 10 for Ruckus Racing. Moisey Oretsky, one of the Pro-Am runners, is alongside him in the 44 Baby Bull Racing with a pink front on that car. Angel Benitez a little further back than I think he would have liked, in 18th position, but we did have an interrupted qualifying session. Best lap time setting the grid for this one. Second best or the best lap time in this race, whichever is better, will set tomorrow's grid, and there may be some improvements. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know as we go through. Then it's Pedro Torres, Alan Metney, Efren Castro and Marco Cironi in the ACI Motorsports number 84 Porsche. On the outside of row 7 is our Pro-Am pole sitter, Sabra Cook for Era Motorsport. Once again, getting down towards the top 10 in her qualifying. She is on the inside of row 7. On row 6, it's Michael Cooper for Baby Bull and Colin Comiskey for Top Racing Performance. Row 5, Madeline Stewart, great qualifying performance for her, puts her in 10th on the outside of row 5 for JDX Racing. Jimmy Lebre for ACI Motorsports in the number 2 car in 9th. Yves Baltes, ACI Motorsports in the outside of row 4 in 8th position with Michael McCann for Kelly Moss alongside him. Elias De La Torre for JDX Racing is on the outside of row 3 with Dan Clark for Era Motorsport. He is on the same row in position number 5, front of the grid. JDX Racing, Zach Vanier for the 4th spot. And the number 9 car then will line up against Ryan Yardley for Top Racing Performance. And on the front row, Luke Hartog can't clinch today, but could clinch the championship this weekend. On pole position, it is Alex Sedgwick who'll bring them to green. 40 minutes on the clock, and the JTX PT Autosports car is on the inside and gets the hammer down. We are racing in the evening sunshine. Beautiful day. Track temperature up at 30 Celsius, helping those Michelin tyres come up to temperature and pressure, making those Yokohama tyres come up to temperature and pressure. Side by side for the lead, and here comes Luke Hartog, our championship leader. He gets through on the inside of the pole sitter. That was a champion's move there by the green and white number 24, but he's getting understeer at turn 5. Those Yokohamas still struggling for a little bit of grip there. No tyre warmers allowed. Down towards turn 6 for the first time. Clean start as the number 4 car, Elias De La Torre, out defending a little bit on the right-hand side. But I'm impressed we've all got through there. Beautiful, as I say that, turn 7 claims a victim, and that is Michael McCann of Kelly Moss Racing. Turn 7 is the corner on this track where you think, I could go faster through here. I've left something on the table, until you don't, and you've got the Georgia clay on your Yokohama tyres. Down the inside, big move for the leader of the race, and he's overdone it, and he's going to go back to third, and from third position, this is a tremendous drive through for the number 9. Zach Vanier comes through, and at the end of the first lap, it's all changed. Vanier leads, Hartog recovers to second, Sedgwick third, but under pressure from the number 78, Ryan Yardley, in the gold and black car, and he will go through into third position, but here comes Sedgwick coming to the top of the hill, and now I'll take a breath and say good afternoon to Shea Adam.
Good afternoon. We have a 5, make that 6, 7, 8 car battle for the lead of this race. Zach Vanier, super optimistic and well-placed, patient move to claim the race lead, as Luke Hartog got a little impatient and very defensive going into turn 9, worrying about Alex Sedgwick. Never even saw the Canadian coming, but Vanier leads, and he has a mile of a lead. Well, 8/10 of a second, which in this series might as well be a mile.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there, Shea. I intimated there going through the Porsche grid that Luke is in a great position. He is. Can't quite clinch it today. Could clinch it this weekend, but what he's, I'm sure, really wanting to do is just make sure that he garners some good points this weekend.
I don't know, that move for the lead was pretty risky and pretty bold. It was very decisive, but it was also one of those moves that you don't typically make if you're trying to seal up a championship. He can seal it up tomorrow, but he needs a big enough gap. 56-point advantage over the next place car. The next place is Alex Sedgwick, and Alex Sedgwick took 2 points for pole position today.
And how many is he ahead at the moment?
He is 58 ahead.
Okay. So an interesting bit of aggressive driving from our championship leader in the green and white number 24. It's the black and white car in third position who takes advantage. That's really heads-up driving from Zach Vanier. He saw what was going ahead of him, so he waited to turn into 10B just for a moment. Now, you might think, he's waited, he's going to lose momentum, but he was actually able to get on the power a bit earlier. And whilst the leading two were tripping themselves up, he dips through and says, thank you, see ya.
I wonder if Zach Vanier was hearing Braveheart playing in his head with Mel Gibson going, wait, hold, now, because that's exactly what he did. Zach claiming his best ever finish in this series with the win at Miami, race number 2, but he's also been second a pair of times, so he's really coming into his own this first year in this championship at this level of racing, John.
Remember lap 2 when Michael McCann went off at turn number 7. That is being looked at by race control. Now, they've got more looks than even we have with our colleagues at NASCAR Productions, and so they'll be keeping a weather eye on what happened there, and they are investigating that to see if there was a little bit of help for Michael as he's fighting his way back through in that number 8 Kelly Moss car. As usual, exit to the final corner, turn number 11, the red dust being thrown up, red Georgia clay. It's very much a signature of the edges of the circuit here. It's dry at the moment. We've had decent weather here, remarkably given the weather systems, the very destructive weather systems that have been either side, to the south and to the north of this area. As I travelled in here the early part of the week, I noticed that quite a lot of the rivers were running lower than usual, and certainly having been out on the grass, and those of the spectators we've spoken to in an absolutely packed Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, they are on dry ground at the moment. There is not an RV space to be had, and we're expecting a record crowd this weekend for the major Motul Petit Le Mans event, which will be on Saturday. For now, we are reveling in the sounds of Porsche, and Zach Vanier has stretched that 8/10 out to 1.3. Now that's a gap.
1.8 as they come across the line. Zach Vanier is saying sayonara to the rest of the cars in his category. In the other two classes, by the way, Pro-Am, Efren Castro did not qualify on pole, but he is leading the way. Marco Cironi got the 2 points for pole position, which ultimately put him into a tie for second place in the championship with Moise Uretsky. And in the Masters class, well, it was Scott Bland who did a fantastic job to grab the pole position. He's down in third because Matt Halcomb is in second, and it's Richard Edge who's leading the way in the number 18 machine for ACI Motorsports.
We should mention all the ccars are identical.
Yes.
The cars have no differences whatsoever. The potential performance of these 992 type Porsche 911s are exactly the same. The Yokohama tyres, the suspension, the engine, no, all exactly the same. The reason we split people up into classes is their experience of life, shall we say. You can choose, if you were a Masters, and I would firmly fit into the Masters class, I could choose to race in Pro-Am or even in Pro, but the Pro guys can't say, oh, can I have a go at Pro-Am or Masters this week? No, you can't. You'll be staying out front, young man, in the Pro category.
The example of this is Jeff Mosley. He categorized as a Masters class driver, but all his friends are in Pro-Am, and so he went to Porsche and said, I'd really like to race with my friends, please. And that's exactly what's happened. Jeff Mosley currently running in the 6th position in the Pro-Am category.
Settling down nicely here. This is a relatively long race at 40 minutes. In the Porsche Carrera Cups around the world, I don't think there's any one that goes longer than we do here in Porsche Carrera Cup North America. The Carrera Cup Asia, for example, which I do the call for as well, they only have a 30-minute races, so we're going a little bit longer.
More bang for your buck here.
Yeah, and also this, for those drivers, particularly the Pro category, the likes of your particularly Luke Hartog, who is absolutely eyeing up a career. This helps in terms of getting used to GT and endurance racing. 40 minutes is not an endurance race, but it is getting on towards an endurance stint and managing the fuel, managing how you use the performance of your Yokohama tyres. That is all going to be important for young drivers in the Pro class as they continue their career. And it is also for that reason the Porsche Carrera Cup North America is unique in Carrera Cup around the world, that they effectively ticked the ABS box on the options. That thought at the moment, because we've got two cars in strife down at the bottom of the hill, turns 10A and 10B.
I think it's Madeline Stewart
it
and
is
maybe
indeed.
Sabra Cook. And it is.
It is the two female drivers have come together on the circuit. This will bring out a full course caution. Madeline, who came across to do the 992 endurance race at Spa in the 12 hours a few weeks ago. They were battling for position, and well, Matt, now I see what happened there. Actually, it was the pink number 88 that went through. Michael Cooper was making the pass, and then Madeline deciding it wasn't a good idea to turn into the side of that car, which was perfect, but it pushed her a little bit wide at 10A. And then the rear Yokohamas just spun up. She lost the back end and clipped Sabra as she was coming through. That's very bad luck for both of those drivers. Sabra in particular, really just minding her own business. Some excellent avoidance from Alan Metney and from Pedro Torres and Angel Benitez and Richard Edge, who came through there. There is coolant on the road. The radiators and the oil coolers are at the front on the Cup car. But that is very bad luck indeed. The good news is I can see both the drivers moving. We will neutralise the race with our Porsche safety car, whilst the AMR safety team of IMSA, best in the biz, get to work. I suspect it is steering damage on, yeah, I suspect it's steering damage on Sabra's car. Certainly that car won't rejoin. I saw the cut hand across the throat. No, there's damage. It'll either be right, it actually might be right rear suspension damage. Madeline's been told to stay in the car whilst the field comes through. That again, standard procedure there.
It's been a very rough season for Madeline Stewart. A bit of initiation by fire. She's come over here. She's done fantastic in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America. She was third in that Pro-Am Championship. But for Carrera Cup North America, this is her 4th DNF this year. And it has been quite heartbreaking for her to go through this over and over again.
Had a good run going at Spa in the 992 Endurance Cup, presented by Porsche Motorsport, what, a month or so ago. And then a mechanical issue took her out of that. Sabra Cook, what an up and down couple of seasons Sabra's had as well. And she'll be disappointed with that. Nothing I think she could have done about that. There's a rueful look back by Sabra. It's just outside Indianapolis now. And I think she realises there's not much she could have done. Yeah, in that situation, Shay, you've just got to shrug your shoulders and say, nothing I could have done. The racing gods were smiling on me today.
That's exactly it. It's a series of unfortunate circumstances, and it can happen to anyone, and it often does. And today it just happened to be these two drivers, unfortunately. Cleanup is going to take a little while just to try and get the rest of the coolant up. They do have the kitty litter out that they are spreading over the track and removing both cars. It will take a flatbed for the Madeline Stewart car. Should be possibly a flat toe for Sabra?
It will depend on whether that is suspension damage on the right rear of that car. It didn't look like a big hit, but as we've mentioned before, these cars run quite serious amounts of camber. That means the bottom of the wheel and tyre stick out from the wheel arch, the fender, more than the top. That's to help the Yokohama tyres be flatter on the road when you're leaning on the car. It then pulls the tyre to put the maximum amount of Yokohama rubber onto the racing circuit. And therefore, you can get wheel-to-wheel contact. And I think that may have been the issue. Safety car pulling the field through. I don't think they can quite use the cutout. No, it's just before the cutout, so they're having to pick their way through. So the corner workers are basically going to have about 2 minutes after the field's gone through before they come back again. Already we've got Madeline's car being pulled out of the way. Now that car, I think suspension wise is fine. They won't want to start that car because it's got no coolant left. Fun fact, racing cars are not allowed to use coolant that contains any form of glycol. That's very slippery indeed. So Michael McCann comes down the inside of the pink car. Madeline goes wide, spins up the back end, and just off the racing line at that point.
Yeah, and that's not the fault of Michael Cooper either.
Michael Cooper,
he made a very decisive pass. He let it be known that he was going to be making the pass. Madeline didn't see him initially, but that's not Michael's fault.
No, but it was heads up driving by Madeline, not to drive into him. She adjusted her line, just opened her hands on the wheel, has to try and then get back across to the left-hand side of the track to open out 10B, which is a right-hander. And in doing so, maybe just pinched the corner. But as I say, I think more significantly, her right-hand side Yokohama tyres were off the racing line. And we've had a lot of running today. We started off at 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, and the last time these cars were out, they were the second thing on the racetrack this morning. They had only had the Mazda series out qualifying before them. So for the Porsches, and particularly for the Yokohamas, there's a lot of rubber out there that's alien that they don't know what to do with. So this is an interesting example that we need to pay attention to for the upcoming sessions, because when we get to the next session after dinner break, that's going to be after this race, that's going to be Pilot Challenge qualifying. They're also on Michelin's. The last time they were out was after Carrera Cup was out, so they should have a better understanding.
More damage than I actually thought to Madeline's car on the right front. There's a little bit of metal damage on the fender just in front of the left rear wheel. The front air dam, that can be replaced. But you know what? I think the steering's okay. It will be, I think the more difficult recovery is going to be Sabre Cook's car, as that car may have some right rear suspension damage, and that car's got to be taken out of the gravel. They won't want to pull it out backwards for the simple, brilliant stuff, as always, by our recovery teams. They've got the rollback as close as they could to Sabre's car, and the number 37 is being very carefully put on. They've got some wooden ramps that they use to lessen the acute nature of the angle between the rollback and the ground, so as not to scrape the front end as the field go through. It's not people spewing oil, by the way. That is the oil dry, effectively, the kitty litter getting thrown up.
One I was going to say, Zach Vanier is totally on the radio going, oh, there's so much oil
it's terrible,
everywhere.
terrible.
So we can't go back to green. This needs to keep going.
For 23 minutes and 25 seconds.
Just thereabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it probably only needs about 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Lapping in 3 minutes behind the safety car at the moment. And well, let's give you the rundown, because nothing's going to change for a little while. Before we do that, thank you very much to our track services, to our medical, to our intervention vehicles and the AMR safety team, and also to our recovery. It's the steps team around here at Road Atlanta who've been providing the services for very, very many years. They come to some of the other circuits that IMSA race on as well, including Daytona, if memory serves. And of course, all our volunteer marshals, whether they are on post, whether they are observing or waving flags, and indeed everyone who is on the gates helping us park our cars, as they did this morning and yesterday. We thank you very much. We can't go motor racing without you. You give us the most precious gift that you possibly can, and that is the gift of your time. So thank you very much for that. So here's how it stands. At the front of the field, JDX and Zach Vanier is leading. In the safety car line, it's Kelly Moss and championship leader Luke Hartog started from second position, is in second position. Ryan Yardley, top racing performance, good move early on by the gold and black number 78, top racing performance car. JDX is Alex Sedgwick, JDX and the PT Autosports team collaborating there. And glad to hear that Jeremy Dale feeling a bit better. I know he hasn't been too well lately. JD, thanks for the message earlier in the week. Glad to hear that things are going better for you. The 98 car from pole in fourth. Dan Clark, Era Motorsport, 64 car, bright yellow on that car in fifth. Yves Baltas, ACI Motorsports, the 15 car in sixth. In Pro-Am, Efren Castro from his Kelly Moss teammate Alan Metney, 65 from 99. Marco Cironi, a consistent thorn in the side for Alan Metney down through the years. We've had some great battles between those two in Pro-Am. Moise Oretsky's one car further back, and Michael McCann in between that battle between the first three and the fourth place driver in Pro-Am. And in Masters, Richard Edge for ACI Motorsport in a very creditable 17th position overall. He's got Richard's got Jeff Mosing behind him, and that gives him a one-car cover back to Matt Holcomb for ACI Motorsports in the number 55. Matt was leading the championship.
Still is.
Yeah,
he's got a 41-point advantage over Chris Palomo, but it was a lot bigger of an advantage before Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Chris Palomo has really been putting it together in the second half of the season. I said earlier, first half of the season last year, we had a Masters Championship runaway, and then it came back together. We're getting that again this year.
Yeah, well, behind Matt Holcomb is Scott Blind, and Chris Palomo will be right there in the restart. It will be a single file, nose to tail, or tail to nose, actually, I suppose, from the front. Restart, and we are running at just under 3 minutes. Now, what's interesting is that the safety cars picked up the pace by a good 7 or 8 seconds a lap, which suggests to me that we are getting ready to clear that area at 10A and 10B of safety vehicles. So we'll keep a weather eye on the yellow lights at the top of the safety car. Beautiful white Porsche Carrera. It's down at Porsche's North American headquarters, which is down at Atlanta, along with Porsche PEC, Porsche Experience Center ATL, hashtag PEC ATL, right on the end of the runway of the main international airport there. It's been extended recently. That extra loop is pretty impressive. Talking to some of the prototype drivers yesterday who were doing some demonstration drives around there, they came in with pretty wide eyes down there. They'd been given a variety of Porsche street cars a run for their money, including the road-going counterpart of this race car, the Porsche 992.1 GT3 and GT3 RS. And trust me, the noise was as intoxicating as we have here. They were having fun down there. You don't have to be a Porsche owner to go and experience the Porsche Experience Centres. There are 8 around the world now. The original at Silverstone, in my neck of the woods, 2 here in the US, one just outside of Los Angeles, 1 here at Atlanta. If you want more details about that, go to Porsche's main website and search Porsche Experience Centres, and you'll find out if there's one in your part of the world. Basically, and I know this sounds ridiculous, you ring them up, you book a time, you rock up and you drive some Porsches really quickly under instruction. Yes, it's true, that's how it works. Whether you're a Porsche owner or not, if you are a Porsche owner, you can take your own car there, and provided that you've got Porsche N-rated tyres, you can get some instruction in your own car, including on some of the mixed surface. So there's a skid pan and various braking tests and all of that sort of stuff. It's very good fun. I have been fortunate to do it at Silverstone a couple of times. Right, Shane, you're Zach Vanier, or no, I tell you what, you're Luke Hartog. You're in second. You've got Ryan Yardley and Alex Sedgwick behind you. You've got Vanier ahead of you. How hard are you pushing at the restart?
Not that hard. Playing defense. At this stage, Vanier is not who he's worried about in the championship. Zach Vanier cannot catch him. He's 4th in points. He needs to keep Yardley and Sedgwick behind him. Sedgwick is the only one he's worried about. Right now, he's got 2 places between himself and Sedgwick.
Yeah.
That's good enough. So if you're going to win this championship, Luke, big picture.
Big picture. Cannot afford a DNF. Even with his points lead as it stands, points don't go all the way down here.
No.
So no finish, no points.
He would be okay at this point because we've had 2 cars drop out, and 15th is still 1 point, and we have 15 cars in the class.
Okay, good point. Right, Zach Vanier took the lead with an audacious manoeuvre, taking 2 for the price of 1. He now has the restart. Oh, brilliant stuff. He absolutely released all 507 horsepower underneath his right foot as he came out of turn 10B, and he has a 3-car lead as he goes into turn 1, climbing up to the top of the hill. Off behind him, the silver number 10 has rejoined very quickly. That was Jody Miller from the Masters class in the MGM car, but that was just a little mistake from Jody. Hartog in second from Yardley, Sedgwick, Clark and Boltas. That is how they restarted in Pro-Am. Efren Castro ahead of Alan Metney and Marco Cironi. Those 3, 65, 99 and 84. So coming to the green was the spin from Jody as he came out of turn number 10B, or the second part of the chicane, if you will. So Castro, Metney, Cironi in Pro-Am, Richard Edge, Matt Holcomb, just seeing if Matt has got past Jeff Mosing. No, he hasn't, and it's still Scott Blind and Chris Palomo a parade of Porsches, but they are playing for keeps here as they come down the hill to turn 10A.
I said earlier in qualifying that we need to start a band called the Flat Six Symphony and just record the sound of these cars racing at all the different tracks across the year. Sell it. I'd buy that.
Yeah, Flat Six Symphonia. I love it. Very good. Across the start-finish line again. Still 14 and a half minutes to go. Yes, we lost some time, but there's more than enough here for drivers to be able to make their move. They will have saved a little bit of performance whilst they were behind the safety car from the Yokohama tyres. Now, who can get those tyres back up to pressure and temperature and extract the absolute maximum for what is going to be round about the last, probably 8 or 9 laps actually. We're running what, at 120s at the moment, 123s.
The best lap time from each of the categories currently goes to Zach Vanier for the Pro category, Alan Metney for Pro-Am, and John Getz for the Masters class. So that's interesting as well to keep an eye on, because those are the bonus points that are awarded during this race, and it's only one, but one makes a difference.
I've decided now that John Getz deliberately doesn't bother with qualifying, because he always races more quickly than he qualifies. He loves it. He loves passing people, and he can turn a fast lap, as we've just seen right there. Right, side by side, Sedgwick just being pushed out a little bit in that number 98 car. As Ryan Yardley was down the inside, they were battling for third position. Yardley holds it.
And remember how I said that Luke Hartog can afford to be smart right now. Alex Sedgwick cannot. He needs to earn more points than Luke Hartog does.
He's got to put pressure on.
Every race, he's got to put the pressure.
Behind him, he's got, well, he's in double trouble. The red, white and black car going up the hill to turn 1 now has to fight on 2 different fronts. Always difficult. He's trying to attack the gold and black car ahead of him. That's third position. He's got Dan Clark, former IndyCar driver, sitting behind him, and Dan would love to get closer to the overall podium. Dan's got the hurry up as well, because Yves Boltas is in the number 15 car, the all gold car, or the gold with the black hood, coming in behind him as well. So there's plenty of reasons for all of these drivers here to pick up their pace.
Everyone wants to win a race. Dan Clark has not yet won a race this year. He's the only one of these top 6 drivers who can say that. So Speedy Dan Clark right now is going, what in the world do I have to do to get to the head of this grid? Because trust me, I'll do it.
What he's got to do at the moment is make 4 passes. And the problem is these guys are beginning to fight once again. Zach Vanier, who had a brilliant restart, he's been pegged at about 8, 9 tenths of a second by Luke Hartog in second in the white and green car. And Luke's got about a second on Ryan Yardley and Alex Sedgwick. That's where the battle is, and that is what is slowing those cars from what, 3rd on down. That is just stretching the lead of the leading 2.
It is, and for Zach Vanier, this is manna from heaven, because once again, he's pulled out a second over Luke Hartog, and that's not something we've said very often this year, John. There have not been people that have been able to pull out a second of a lead, no matter who they are, except for Luke Hartog.
Wojciech Orecki has switched on his Yokohama tyres in 4th in Pro-Am, the number 44 car. Baby Bull Racing a 1:24.6 last time around, and he's had to, because Angel Benitez is right behind him in the moment top FMS Motorsport by RGP racing car. It doesn't get too close to front. I can't say that is quick enough, to be honest, if it gets excited. 1:24.631. If that team name gets any longer than put on the side of the car, they'll need a Panamera, not a 911, to get it on. And it's not beyond the bounds of possibilities, let's be honest. It's raced a four-door prestige car from this manufacturer. That is the battle for 15th and 16th. More importantly, Wojciech Orecki is closing up on Marco Cironi, and that is a battle for class position and a class podium. And
I am getting really excited about the possibility of this Pro-Am battle, because Alan Minnie is all over Efren Castro, but right now, Michael Cooper making moves. He gets the pass done on Colin Kaminsky, and now sets his sight forward on Elias De La Torre, who just a couple moments ago was under some serious pressure from the number 2 of Jimmy Liebert. Jimmy taking that 7th position away.
Yeah, this is all for position, Shay. That pink front, it's number 88, Baby Bull Racing. Very distinctive with the bull in relief on the side of the car. Doesn't matter what colours the cars are, they tend to have pink in them somewhere, but the livery on the side is identical. See the bull's horns on the side of the car next to the number panel, and Michael Cooper with the orange line under his name that designates as a pro driver.
And the white bull on his car, the purple bull on Moisey's car. So
Correct.
that's how you tell the two baby bull racing cars apart.
Yeah, the teams have been very creative again this year with their liveries. Whilst some of them might be different colours, they tend to follow the same style in terms of where the stripes, etc. are, even if the base colour and the stripes are different. I almost think we should have a livery of the year competition, because there's been some very, very good ones. And I love the way the teams have their brand, if you will, but still manage to differentiate them for us play-by-play commentators so that we can tell who's who.
Elias Salatorre would be my vote.
You think so?
The gold with the rainbow striping on it every now and then. I really like that one.
I'm a fan of nice, bold patterns. Red, white and black, always good for me, obviously. Catches my eye.
Pedro Torres is nice too, though, with the blue, very subtle. Alan Metney's, just the black carbon. Oh, it looks like Darth Vader. I do like that one a lot.
At the front of the field, Zach Vanier has just got a second on Luke Hartog. Luke, though, with a good second on the chasing cars, Ryan Yardley and Alex Sedgwick. This has been a great run so far by Zach Vanier. GT3 Racing have been great supporters of this championship in its many guises down through the years. Carrera Cup North America is still relatively new as a Carrera Cup, let's not forget, but was important enough for this championship a few years ago to be the first Carrera Cup in the world to race this 992 Cup car, even before Super Cup had it. And that was a real feather in the cap for the North American racing marketplace and for Porsche Motorsport North America.
Let's be honest, John. They've lived up to the billing. This championship, we have had great battling the entire way through. Last year, yes, we had a similar situation where Riley Dickinson was able to seal up the championship before the final round. But this year, so many different winners. Yeah, Luke's won a bunch of races, but we've also had a bunch of people win a race.
And the faith that was shown by Porsche Motorsport back in Germany in this championship, absolutely correct, because we've had the biggest field ever for a Carrera Cup race in this championship. It was at Sebring and we had 27 million cars. It was huge, and that tells you how important it is to be racing in America, how people here in the US love their Porsches. But it has become an international championship with people coming from South America, from all over the North American continent, and now from Europe. And I get plenty of people asking me, and certainly when we were at the 992 Endurance Cup, asking me about the North American Championship and is it as good? I said, all you have to do is watch and you tell me.
I've just had a note passed to me that we have 36 cars at Circuit of the Americas for next week.
Surprises me not at all. Not at all. That is 2 races supporting FIA Formula One World Championship. We'll crown the champions as well that weekend, and we will have it live for you. No subscription, no breaks, no blocks, no interruptions, just pure flat 6 racing. And on that circuit, that will be a great workout for the cars and the Yokohama tyres.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun to watch. I'm
envious I'm not getting a drive.
Well, I mean,
that's so we need a livery competition and a VIP car for the commentators, and then you and I can just swap race and race. How does that sound?
I would be scared of the crash damage, Bill. And I'm not saying from which one of us, or both of us.
I learned from somebody very long time ago, if you're ever going to take a drive, make sure that whatever happens, you've signed off the waiver for the damage.
Well, and thankfully, Renger van de Zande owns an insurance company, so Pagona is out there to cover our backs on that one. So Hopefully Renger would be helping us out. Now, there is a really good battle out on the track, and it is Efren Castro and Alan Metni for that Pro-Am Championship lead and the lead on the racetrack. Now, Efren Castro came into today's race 20 points behind Metni. He's currently ahead of Metni, but he's only one position ahead of Metni, and he has the fastest lap of the category, and he would get a 5-point advantage. So, looking at the end of the race, that's 6 points clawed back, advantage towards Castro if he can hold the position. Good luck holding the position for Metni.
Last 5 minutes of the race, the Georgia Clay dust storm at the end of the final corner, the start of the front straight, right underneath our global broadcast centre, and at the sharp end of Pro-Am. Castro then with that number 65 car with the white stripe. Now again, you see, that is your typical Kelly Moss colourway, even if it's not the same colours exactly as some of his teammates. The car that bucks the trend there is Alan Metni, because he's also being run out of the Kelly Moss awning, but he has his own colour. Oh, now, bit of side-by-side and a bit of a touch there from the number 45.
Interesting.
That was a moment or two ago for Scott Blind and
Jake Pedersen.
Was that Jake Pedersen, the pro car? And yeah, it was the GT Silver car. The cars are all supplied in that GT Silver colour, by the way.
Because that's a backup. Jake Pedersen had a crash in qualifying. He brought out a red flag. That's why he started so far down. Thankfully, Kelly Moss, the team he's with, had a lot of cars.
Had a very unusual incident at the end of the front straight.
Yes. He lost it coming out of 12, and then didn't hit the wall until almost the entrance. Yeah,
okay.
it was
I saw
a
the
long
aftermath,
time
not the actual accident.
Yeah, unfortunately, I caught my eye did catch it. Efren Castro, by the way, just to wrap up this thought about the Pro-Am battle that's taking place, 2 times a champion, 21 and 23. He was second in 2022. Alan Metni, multi-time champion in the previous iterations and Carrera Cup North America. He's looking to try and get a second championship in the Pro-Am class within the last 4 years. So basically he wants to tie Efren Castro.
Yeah, it's been those two.
It's been those two.
Jeff Morsing in the rhubarb and custard, yellow and dark red car. It's the number 56 machine, and he is right with Elias Torres as they are battling for 5th and 6th in Pro-Am. Right, let's go back to the front of the field. I'm very impressed with Zach Vanier. Luke Hartog has not given him an easy ride. He's holding him at about 1.3 seconds. I would suggest now that Luke is in collect as many points as possible mode. Ryan Yardley is not going to be a factor here in terms of bumping Luke down. So Luke needs to bring this home and take home second position points. The driver, I think he'll be disappointed, is the man who sat on 4th position. Alex Sedgwick needed to get ahead of Luke Hartog. He did early in the race, couldn't stay ahead.
And he also got the pole position. So he had all afternoon to think about how he was going to win this race, and not even finishing on the podium. That is a real gut punch.
Also looking at some of the lap times here compared to qualifying, there are going to be people who will change their position from the truncated qualifying session that we had because of that red flag. And one of them, of course, will be Jake Pedersen, because he lost his fastest 2 laps. You're allowed to make that back in this race. So effectively, if his best race lap is faster than his third best qualifier, then that will set his grid position. And I would wager, not a huge amount, but I would wager something that would be the case for Jake and 1 or 2 other people. Just having gone quick, Chris Palomo's put his fastest lap of the race in. The young Armors still got some performance for him as he's in 4th position in the Masters and only half a second behind a spot on the podium. Scott Blind has that at the moment. Coming through to a white flag, 2.5 miles to go for Zach Vanier. Holds that 1.1 second lead. No worry about DRS. We don't have pass flaps here. If you're going to pass someone, you've got to plan and scheme. And he's done a great job to stay ahead of the championship leader, Luke Hartog, with Ryan Yardley another 2 seconds further back, and Alex Sedgwick for JDX another couple of seconds back as well. So the top 4 rather cancelled each other out. We haven't had that battle, that side-by-side battle that we saw earlier. Oh, Luke Hartog getting a little busy on the lamp flasher here. So what is he trying to tell the JDX car ahead? I'm still here.
Hey.
Maybe just trying to catch his attention in the rear view mirror. I think if I'd been the team of Zach Vanier, I would have been saying, tilt the mirror up to the roof.
Yep.
Don't look back now.
Actually, break it off.
Focus forward.
Just throw it out the window. It's fine.
Focus forward. Hit your marks. Brake point, turning point, acceleration. That's all he's got to do. He's got 3 corners to go for Zach Vanier and JDX Porsche number 9 to notch up his first victory in Porsche Carrera Cup North America. He did it with a tremendous 2-car pass to the lead, and he converts. Zach Vanier then wins it from Luke Hartog. Ryan Yardley yet to come home. There he goes through. Now, what about the Pro-Am battle? Waiting for that to come down the hill as well. With Efren Castro and Alan Metney, they've been battling and they've finished line astern there, half a second between them. With Marco Cironi and Moise Areski in 3rd and 4th. And in the Masters category, Richard Edge has driven a super race. Quite lonely, actually, for ACI Motorsports. But Matt Holcomb gets up to 2nd ahead of Scott Blind. And Chris Palomo gets ahead. Oh no, he was ahead of John Getz. So it'll be Edge, Holcomb and Blind on the Masters. Zach Vanier, Shea Adam takes the victory.
He does, and with the points for fast lap as well, he might even have moved himself up into 3rd place in the points standings. I need to finish doing the arithmetic. No, he is still 4th. So Luke Hartog with an 80-point advantage, 8-0 unofficially after today's race over Alex Sedgwick. Ryan Yardley finished 3rd. Zach Vanier with his 2nd race win. The first one coming at Miami earlier in the year in the 2nd race, but he's still very, very strong day today.
Race 1 winner, his 2nd on the season for Zach Vanier. Luke Hartog in 2nd place with Ryan Yardley. These are unofficial at the moment, got to go through post-race tech. Alex in 3rd position. In the Pro-Am category, it was Efren Castro in 11th position ahead of Alan Metney, and then Marco Cironi and Moise Areski. And in the Masters, Richard Edge from Matt Holcomb and Scott Blind. Well, bit of drama for a couple of the drivers, Madeline Stewart and Sabra Cook, finding each other out on the circuit. They didn't make the distance, I'm afraid. But the cars have the overnight periods to be repaired. Let's hope we see a full grid tomorrow. The championship is still advantage Luke Hartog. He could clinch it tomorrow, Shea Adam.
An advantage is Pro-Am Alan Metney, 11 points over Moise Areski after today's race.
So we'll be back to do it again. Make sure you join us at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta for the 2nd race of the weekend.